I want to talk about investment returns, right? For the uninitiated, what's the investment return for investing in startups and over what period?
Yeah. See, people need to understand very clearly it's a long-term investment, right? On an average, your holding period would be 3 to 4 years on a particular startup if it's doing well, right? And if you get an exit after 4 years, right? So, I would say in an Indian context, with the rates, with the risk-free rate, returns, and the kind of risk you are taking, anywhere between 20 to 25% IRR is a very fantastic return on this asset class, right? And it's not so easy to get a 25% pre-tax IRR on your alternative asset portfolio, right? Any VC fund doing that is in the top decile performance, right? So that is what you should aim for, because obviously the risks are higher, the reward should be higher. Anyone who says that, okay, you can make 50x, 100x, maybe you can make on one, but then you will lose on the remaining 29 companies which you've invested in. So I would feel that 25% is a very reasonable, achievable number if you do your job well, and that is what investors should expect when they are looking to invest. 25% IRR over a 7-year period. So it becomes it's not so easy. It's almost you're making your money 4x, 5x.
Yeah, and just to set the context and comparison, FD gives you about 7 to 8%.
Correct.
Stock markets, index funds gives you about 10 to 12% if you're good over a 7-year, 10-year period. Gold gives you about 8%, maybe just a percent above inflation. Real estate gives you about 1% to 2% above inflation, but over a 20-30 year period. So those are the comparisons.
Yeah, and even if you look at actively managed best performing mutual funds or PMS, would be what, 14, 15, 16%.
Correct.
So because of the illiquidity and because of the nature of the asset, as I said, 20, anything about 20 is great.
Adith, let's simplify this, okay? If I have invested in 10 startups at angel investment stage, that is the first check, how many of them actually don't succeed, meaning I have to write off as losses? How many of them give me how much amount of return?
Yeah.
Any numbers in the Indian context?
See, at a number of 10, it's difficult to say, but let's assume this 10 is 100, let's say.
Okay.
Right? I think 40 to 50% of your startups will not give you any returns. 50% of your startups will give you zero returns. You'll have to write it off, right? 2-3 of them might give you just your capital back, right? So that's like 70%, 75% done.
Right.
And then 1 or 2, 3 will give you maybe 3x to 5x. That's right. Predominantly it. 1 out of 100 could give you a 50x or a 60x, and that's where you cover for all your other companies which have not made money, right? That's what typically we've seen it happening. Yeah.
Brilliant. Just to set a wider context, the Indian startup ecosystem has about 100,000 startups.
Yeah.
And I saw the venture capital report that came out by Inc. 42 and KPMG and a few others for 2023. For the stats on the Indian startup investments, only something like 800 startups were only 800 startups out of 100,000 startups were able to raise angel funding, which is about 50 lakhs to 4 crore.
Correct.
Out of those, about 350 startups were able to raise Series A, which is 10 crore to 20 crore. Yeah. And less than 100 were able to go beyond that, right? True. Which is where you kind of really make the 50x, 100x or whatever it might be. Correct.